News at 11, I'm Vic Carter.
And I'm Rick Ritter. The other big story we're following tonight, in the early morning hours of March 26, which is actually 4 weeks ago tomorrow, a wayward cargo ship believed to have lost power crashed into the Key Bridge.
The bridge was destroyed and 6 men lost their lives. And today, the city of Baltimore officially sued the owners and managers of the Dolly container ship, alleging negligence in allowing the ship to leave port before fixing known power problems.
And WJZ staying on top of this story, our Christina Mendez live at City Hall tonight, breaking down what is inside that lawsuit. Christina.
So I was wondering if a lawsuit would come out of the Baltimore bridge collapse. It makes sense that somebody had to do something wrong and they should be held financially responsible for it. So let's see what happens in the lawsuit.
Good evening.
Good evening, guys. Baltimore City is asking the U.S. District Court of Maryland to go ahead and call for a jury trial here. It seeks to hold the owner and the manager of the Dolly fully liable for the Key Bridge collapse and all of the fallout thereafter, but the petitioners...
So a jury trial is a risky bet for both sides because you have a less predictable outcome than with a judge. So even if you have somebody bringing a baloney case against you, but they're able to get a jury trial, it's possible that that jury could just be wacky. A judge has been on the bench for a while. You can kind of look at their past history to predict how they're going to rule on a certain case that you bring in front of them. But with the jury trial, it could be all over the place. So this does seem like it probably is a legitimate case. We all did see the bridge collapse. Maybe there's more going on there that we don't know about. But if you are faced with a baloney case and there's a jury trial, you could end up having to pay big just because juries are unpredictable.
In this case here, have already made a move earlier this month attempting to limit their liability. None of this should have happened, the Baltimore City Law Office wrote in a claim filed on Monday in Maryland's District Court against the Dolly container ship owner and manager in connection to the Key Bridge collapse. The lawsuit aims for a jury to decide whether the petitioners should be held fully liable for the collision that claimed the lives of 6 construction workers and upended the Port of Baltimore's ecosystem. Councilman Zeke Cohen.
This is about Baltimore uniting together, standing strong amidst this tragedy, and making sure that people are held accountable that played a role in it.
The suit alleges alarms showing an inconsistent power supply on the Dolly.
I mean, yes, people should be held accountable for the work. This type of disaster, chances are there are a lot of people who screwed up in order for this type of mistake to happen. Now, will the liability be equally distributed among the people who were liable? Very unlikely. What's going to end up happening, though, is those with bigger pockets are going to probably have to end up paying off more than their fair share of liability because that's how the court system works in many states. Even if you're only partially responsible, but you have deeper pockets, you could end up having to pay more than your fair share. Another reason why, if you have assets, you could become a target of a lawsuit.
Sounded off before leaving the Port of Baltimore, but went on its voyage anyway. The documents state despite its unseaworthy conditions. The city also accuses the crew of being incompetent and inattentive to its duties, adding allegations of failing to maintain or use several pieces of equipment, including the ship's engine and propulsion system. In response to the filing, a representative for Grace Ocean Private Limited and Synergy Marine Group says the NTSB and Coast Guard are conducting their investigations. Out of respect for those legal investigations, it would be inappropriate to comment further. 6 days after the collision, the two companies filed a joint claim of their own, seeking to free them from liability or limit damages to the value of the ship and estimated revenue.
So basically, we have a liability storm. A great way to get sued is to sue someone. And this is what's going on here with the bridge collapse. There's going to be a lot of cross lawsuits, a lot of fingers being pointed, and liability may be distributed to some people who deserve it, but it's also going to be distributed based on who fights the hardest and who has the most vulnerable assets.
Which sits at about $44 million, documents state. And the city claims it should be compensated for not just the Key Bridge rebuild, but also interruptions to transportation, as we know, overtime for first responders, including police and fire, and the loss of taxes and fees there at the port, among other damages. I'm reporting live tonight at 11 from City Hall. I'm Christina Mendez for WJZ.
Well, the biggest and saddest part here is the loss of lives. And my sincere condolences to the individuals and their families who passed away. This is a situation where a lot went wrong. However, it's going to be interesting to see whether blame is properly apportioned to the appropriate parties. We'll probably never know.